Okay, Friday. It's about time your sexy ass showed up. We've been waiting all week for you. Now, at the start of the week, we had a little bit of community drama nonsense, and we started with a discussion about improvements in areas we don't normally play. Speaking of, I took some advice and some tips from some of you and did notice a difference. I'm still getting stomped, but not as bad. So that's a world of difference to me. So thank you for that.
Contact! Enemy infantry!
I'll have some updates about it sometime next week. But today, we have a more tactical briefing than our usual debauchery and shenanigans, but it's important, so we should get into it. Ready or not, here we go. So we have a new community update, folks. Now, normally I wouldn't do a full video on these things. Most often I drop screenshots of them or screenshots of sections of these community notes for emphasis and to back up what I say in the videos. But this one is a bit different because our boy, Florian, God, I hope I pronounced that correctly, decided to update us on some going-ons and further development of the game. Now, for those of us not in the know, Florian, who is also known as Drunk Z3, is a pro-level competitive Battlefield gamer who became EA's principal game designer at DICE. So he knows his shit, right? Well, he decided to enter the chat with this post. Now, I'll leave a link to the full update in the video description for you guys to check out. Anyway, Florian introduces himself and mentions he's been working closely with the game's gameplay, networking, animation, and audio teams for improvements to the overall experience. He further mentions his focus is connecting these systems together. But after his intro is where I want to focus the discussion. With Season 2 underway, I want to take a deeper look at several foundational systems that directly impact the feel of the game. Hit registration, netcode, time to kill, soldier visibility, and audio clarity are tightly connected systems. While we've delivered numerous improvements since launch, our work is ongoing. We will continue to analyze, evolve, and enhance the experience based on feedback. See, there's that fucking word again, Freshbone44. Make a note of it, sir. Because the connection between the game and the player sits at the heart of Battlefield. Okay, so he's opening up a direct conversation here with all of you pissing and moaning about your experiences with the 5 biggest issues you lot have been harping on since about day one. Hit registration, netcode, time to kill, being able to see your damn opponent, and audio. So let's see what else he has to say. Combat reliability is not driven by a single system, but by now these layers interact with one another. Improving this experience requires careful sequencing. In many cases, stabilizing one system is necessary before adjusting another. Networking behavior affects how time to death is perceived. Visibility influences pacing and damage clarity. Animation alignment impacts shot behind cover scenarios. Okay. Because these systems overlap, changes must be validated carefully to ensure they improve consistency without introducing new issues. This process takes iteration and large-scale testing, which is why Battlefield Labs plays such an important role in our approach. Gee. I've been saying something like this for weeks now, and all I got were stones being thrown at me. Not like I've not worked in the gaming industry before. No, I simply just don't know what the blue fuck I've been talking about this whole time. Florian here even stated exactly what I've been trying to explain the last several months about how shit works here, and it's not as simple as flipping a switch or pushing a button. Everything touches everything else, and a quick fix is not an option. It would, in fact, make things worse. But Hannibal, why can't they just launch a game from day one and we wouldn't have these problems? Well, because it's never that simple. For starters, when DICE tests a game internally, they might have 100 testers on a private LAN. So the lab would have very low latency, controlled hardware, and specific playstyles. Everything looks green. But in the wild, on launch day, you have 500,000 plus players with different ISPs, varying router qualities, and hardware ranging from supercomputer to barely running, and those hamsters need water. Now, the layers Florian mentions here are the networking, animation, and visibility. Only start to clash when they are stressed by mass-scale interaction. You simply cannot simulate that kind of chaos of a global launch in an office. Sorry, kiddos, we aren't there yet with technology. Secondly, Florian's point about careful sequencing is the most important part so far. Think of the game like a Jenga Tower. Now, for those of you in the back that have no idea what Jenga is, pause the video and Google it. Anyway, networking is the base. Animations are the middle. TTK and TTD is the top. If they just push a button to fix the TTK because people are complaining, but the networking layer hasn't been stabilized yet, the whole tower falls over. You end up with a shot behind cover scenarios because the animations aren't synced with the server's new speed. And you have to fix the foundation before you can paint the roof, my dudes. Lastly, games like Battlefield 4, which a lot of you have recently decided to compare Battlefield 6 to, has a legendary bad launch. It took nearly a year of community test environment feedback to fix it. A year, folks. 12 months. Why? Well, two big reasons. They changed the netcode because of complaints about time to kill and time to die in Battlefield 3 and Bad Company 2. So they did try changing things to where the netcode was fixed before launch. But the culprit was hardware evolution. New GPUs and new consoles were launched, and the interaction between those layers changed. If people want a game perfect on day one, they are essentially asking for a game with zero innovation and 10-year-old technology. Video game companies have to not only develop a game for you, they also have to do their best to keep up with the hardware technology that changes faster than the pitch of your whine. That's why it isn't perfect on day one. It's like asking why a new car or jet engine needs a test flight or test drive. You could build it to spec in a hangar or garage, but you don't know how it handles a hurricane until you fly into it, or a snowstorm until you drive into one. Those are the storms. Us, the players, in case you can't keep up. Anyway, Florian wanted to reach out and get into some of the things about what the teams are going through, what's been improved, and what's coming. He addresses the hit reg and netcode issues first, the biggest complaint. Extreme Measures introduced the first round of networking changes aimed at improving combat reliability. Bullet data is now handled more efficiently, and additional stability updates are planned for our next major update. These refinements continue to be validated through Battlefield Labs to ensure improvements hold up under full live service conditions. Now, remember, kiddos, we have no idea how many internal testers they have or gear they're using, so let's not speculate too much on that. Have a hope for the best, plan for the worst mentality. Trust me, you'll be happier that way. This is where Battlefield Labs comes in handy, as it gives EA a better idea of what the wild looks like. If you really want the game to thrive and bitch about it less, I strongly suggest you do what you can to get into Battlefield Labs and participate. If you won't, then really you could simply just shut the fuck up now. If you can't, then you need to start trusting the system more and resign yourself that things are going to get worked on and become better. Patience, Padawans. Since launch, this topic has been one of the most discussed aspects of Battlefield 6. We've seen examples of shots appearing to land but are not registering, and situations where players felt that they were eliminated after reaching cover. Some of these experiences are influenced by perception, especially when some of our weapons have a particularly fast time to kill combined with limited visibility, but technical issues have also contributed. We've addressed several of these issues already, and we are continuing to work to stabilize and refine others. Okay, so he's pointing out that there are some cases in what it feels like, while other cases there's a smoking gun, if you will. And they have addressed some of it and continue working on it more. Is this not what you lot of scrubs have asked for? For EA to listen and address shit? Or are you just going to move the goalpost further down the field with, they're just saying word salads and they're placating us? Remember, kiddos, I myself don't seem to be experiencing anywhere near the level of issues you all scream about. I experience hit reg from time to time, but not a game-breaking level.
I don't know about you.
And when I start seeing it, I finish the game session, restart my game, and the issue disappears for a while. With our recent update, we optimized how bullet-related data is being transmitted between client and server. In rare cases, too much information exchanged within a single update could delay damage feedback for either the shooter or the player taking damage. Gee, I wonder else who said that. Oh, that's right, I did! These changes prioritize critical interactions, such as shots landing or damage being applied, so they are processed more reliably and in a more timely manner. Another key area involves how clients remain synchronized with the server, often referred to as time nudge. Oh hey, I remembered saying that shit too. Yay me! In online shooters, the game client cannot display events at the exact same moment the server processes them due to network latency. Information is never transmitted instantaneously between client and server. Instead, it buffers a small amount of incoming data to smooth out network or performance fluctuations. When functioning correctly, this results in fluid movement and stable hit registration. See?
I do.
Florian again is saying everything I've stated before on how this shit works. Like I've been in the industry before. It's a good feeling when you're right. Anyway, at launch, this system could drift outside safe bounds under unstable network conditions or heavy system load contributing to desynchronization. We are targeting configuration adjustments to better constrain and stabilize this behavior in the next major update. The goal is to ensure that what you see on screen more closely matches what the server sees, even when performance fluctuates. Internal and labs testing shows improved alignment, but more player impressions are needed before we consider this resolved. More player impressions are needed before we consider this resolved. Hear that, kiddos? Hit the labs. Submit your feedback. Take screenshots. Record clips. This is literally asking you to participate like a community to help them bring you better quality. Get on the train or get the fuck out. So basically, Florian is saying here that once they got the baseline idea of what the wild looks like at launch, seeing a lot of unstable network conditions and such, desync happens like I said they would. He also stated they identified some areas where they can improve on their end and are working on dropping this fix in the next major update, so probably near or at Season 3. And they cannot fix your end, so they need more info from the players to adjust for the out in the wild drift. In addition to this, we will look into refining the responsiveness and clarity of both incoming and outgoing damage indicators. When you take damage or land shots, feedback should be immediate and readable across UI, audio, and visual effects. Improvements in this area will continue alongside our networking efforts. We've also corrected cases where the soldier health bar updated a few frames after the actual damage occurred and where incoming damage animations lacked clarity, which could have compressed multiple hits into what looked like a single hit. Okay, more adjustments and tweaks. Transparency, my dudes. Looking nice to me right now. We are also examining how the server validates damage during close encounters. In multiplayer shooters, the server decides whether damage should count, since players are never experiencing the exact same timeline due to latency. Oh my god, just like I said previously! In some cases, if the server determines that a player was already eliminated, it may invalidate incoming damage to prevent unintended trade eliminations. This behavior exists to preserve fairness, but it comes with some trade-offs, particularly in fast close quarters fights where a shot may feel like it should have landed. We are reviewing how these server-side damage rejections behave to ensure the balance between fairness and responsiveness. Yes, sir, I made a whole video about this shit not once, but twice, yet I got a ton of flack about it. Fucking weirdos. Lastly, we identified cases where third-person character visuals do not always accurately reflect what is happening in combat. One example involves enemy-facing direction, where a character model may appear to be oriented away from you while they are in fact aiming and firing in your direction. We have a fix scheduled for the next update. Separately, we have also observed inconsistencies when transitioning from standing to prone, where a player's first-person view may suggest safety while their third-person character model remains partially exposed to others. The fix of this behavior is planned for later in the season to better align visual representation with actual gameplay. I actually experienced a few times the kill where I saw the player's back, but he shot me like he was facing me. I was being all sneak for dog tags, but he saw me even though I saw his back. My first thought was hacks, but now that Florian mentioned this, it's probably not hacking, but a translation fuck-up between what I'm seeing and what's actually in front of me. Interesting. I never really made a big deal out of it because I only saw it 2 or 3 times and never in the same game. So it's kind of cool now that I see it's a server translation issue. I may do a side quest to learn more about that. Okay, so hit reg and netcode updates. Looks like we're on par for historically updating a Battlefield game timeline as previous titles. Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, Battlefield 1, hell, even 2042 had a very similar update announcements and implementations, this time in their gaming lives. Oh, but Florian's not done. Okay, so he addressed the hit reg and netcode issue, so now we cover what is immediately affected by those, and that's time to kill and time to death. The first phase of Season 2 delivered improvements to recoil consistency and a weapons balance pass to ensure weapon handling feels more predictable and responsive. We've heard concerns about the time to death can feel too fast, and it remains an active topic of discussion within the team. Yeah, it's not just the team. Anyway, before we make broad changes, we're concentrating on strengthening combat clarity, including responsive audio-visual damage feedback, improved enemy readability, continued netcode refinements, and more. Okay, so before they even start working on changes to TTK and TTD, they need to look at and potentially adjust things that are attached to it first. Okay, so that makes sense. TTD is heavily influenced on how clearly combat events are communicated. When multiple bullets land in rapid succession and feedback is unclear, even a 4-shot kill can feel instantaneous. Yeah, I get this every once in a while, like all I heard was a single body hit, I'm at full health, but the player killing me used half a mag. At the same time, many players report that TTK from the shooter's perspective feels satisfying and responsive. Introducing broad changes before stabilizing the underlying system risks creating a bullet sponge experience, elongated TTK, weakening weapon satisfaction, and unintentionally shifting pacing. Our priority is to strengthen systems that support gunplay, especially those that affect TTK. Yeah, we don't want bullet sponges. One approach currently being validated at Battlefield Labs involves reducing damage dealt to limbs across several weapon archetypes. Shots landing on arms or legs may require an additional bullet to secure a kill, while headshots remain unaffected. If a bullet passes through an arm and strikes the head, it will correctly register as head damage. This approach rewards accuracy without fundamentally changing the feel of gameplay. Okay, I did see where someone online suggested some kind of yay and wah approach to this a little bit. Like, dude, take the fucking win for fuck's sake. This whole limb damage leading to multiplying damage fits your playstyle so much more than mine, and you still found a way to say something negative about it? It sounds like you hate the framing more than the mechanic, and it seems to me that you want this viewed as rewarding accuracy rather than protecting movement players. Sweet baby Jesus. Anyway, in addition, we are validating adjustments to the economy on the hollow point and synthetic tip ammunition attachments through Battlefield Labs as well. Our aim is to make them more meaningful and competitive choices when customizing weapons, ensuring that attachment selections reflects intentional trade-offs rather than default picks. Nice. Weapon control has also been a central focus. Since launch, recoil compensation could behave unpredictably, sometimes requiring more input than expected to counter weapon kickback. This season introduced tighter alignment between recoil output and the aim input required to manage it, improving overall recoil stability. With that foundation in place, we will continue to evaluate recoil balance across weapon archetypes to determine whether additional tuning adjustments are needed. Ongoing refinements will continue through Battlefield Labs as we gather live in-game data across skill brackets and modes. Okay, so potential buffs and nerfs. Oh boy. More rage fuel, I suppose. Our goal is to ensure that when you win or lose an engagement, it feels earned or fair. Okay, so the teams are working on improving the hit reg and the TTK TTD side of things. Not going to be an overnight fix, but we should start seeing some really big improvements going into Season 3, according to this post. While the TTK and TTD does need some adjustments, I've not had too much of an issue with it. No, that's not right. Because I've known TTK and TTD needed adjustments, and I knew they would eventually get adjusted, I haven't been bothered too much by it. Yep, that's more accurate. This one has been something I was interested in reading about. Soldier visibility continues to influence pacing and perceived fairness, especially in close ranges and interior engagements. We are exploring improvements to lighting transitions and visibility systems without breaking immersion. This includes refining how characters read against dynamic environments and varied lighting conditions. Larger art direction shifts are unlikely in the near term, but targeted changes and longer-term exploration remain active. Yeah, sometimes I just don't see the players killing me until I rewatch the recorded footage, and then I'm like, how did I not see that? Sometimes I see what looks like a player, but it's an artifact, and sometimes it's the opposite. I see an artifact, but it's actually a player. Visibility impacts more than spotting an enemy. True. It affects decision-making, reaction time, and how combat feels overall. True. When you cannot see who eliminated you, fast TTD feels even more abrupt. Okay, so most of the time, I see the death cam and can tell where they hit me from. But every once in a while, the death cam doesn't show the red silhouette, and I have no idea where they were when I got punched. One significant factor involves transitions between interior and exterior areas. Current exposure calculations consider first-person weapon and arm models, which can exaggerate lighting shifts. We are investigating adjustments that exclude these models from the calculations of the exposure in favor of world lighting, with the goal of reducing instances of blinding exteriors or overly dark interiors. While this will not eliminate every scenario, it should meaningfully improve how exposure and lighting transitions between exterior and interior environments behave during gameplay. Okay, so it sounds like digitally the camos are working a little too well sometimes. Battlefield environments are intentionally grounded and detailed. Debris, destruction, dust, and environmental effects all contribute to immersion, but can also make soldiers blend into their surroundings. The game uses a visibility filter and a brightness boost that increases at range to help separate characters from the environment. We are targeting testing in Battlefield labs once improvements are in place, focusing on improving close quarters and long-range clarity while ensuring characters do not appear out of place within the world. Achieving the right balance between immersion and readability requires careful iteration. While large visual shifts are unlikely in the short term, we are continuing to make targeted adjustments and researching longer-term solutions for both live updates and future Battlefield experiences. Okay, so this is being evaluated and adjustments are already in the works. For me, this wasn't too much of a big deal, more of a player annoyance than anything else, like camping in a corner and I couldn't see you. But when I came back and you were still camping, I knew where to look and lobbed an incendiary, and that took care of that nonsense. So cool. Visibility. And lastly, we have the one a few folks have just been livid about. Audio clarity plays a critical role in combat awareness, especially when it comes to footsteps and vehicle positioning. Since launch, we've been working to address cases where footsteps were unclear, vehicles were difficult to track, or sounds would unintentionally drop out in intense moments. Extreme measures introduce initial fixes to raise footstep clarity and rebalance audio priorities, with more comprehensive changes planned for our next major update. Okay, so I don't experience this often. For one, it's random where I can't figure out where the helicopter is, as the audio sounds like it's literally over my head, but when I look up, there's nothing there. Two, the footstep thing, man, I have military-grade tinnitus, and freedom is always ringing in my ears. I mean, I'm hearing it right now while I'm chatting with you. And if you don't understand... Imagine that shit going on in your ear 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, never ending. And always at whatever volume you just heard that shit at. So yeah, the footsteps thing is a real nothing burger for me. That's not to say that it's not an issue for some of you. I'm just saying because of the god-awful sound I've had in my ears for 3 decades, it's not an issue for me. Anyway, Florian continues with audio challenges in Battlefield are rarely caused by a single issue. Footstep clarity, vehicle audibility, the positional accuracy are influenced by memory limits, file size constraints, performance considerations, and how different sounds compete for priority in large-scale environments. Like in real life. In scenarios like buildings collapsing while multiple players are firing, the system must decide which sound takes precedence. That prioritization is complex, especially at scale. Okay, so there's that word again, scale. Okay. Before you scrubs come at me in the comments again with your various multi-billion-dollar company, this is unacceptable at this stage in the franchise, blah, 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 I don't fucking care. This is how it is. They are listening to the feedback, they are looking into things, and they're working on the fixes. As far as that is concerned, that is all I care about. All right, what else is Florian talking about here? With this season, we addressed several of these constraints by reducing file size, optimizing performance, and adjusting audio priorities so that footsteps and key combat cues stand out more consistently. These changes were an important first step, but they do not fully solve every scenario players have reported. There's that feedback I've mentioned over and over again, Freshbone44. Make another note of it, my good sir. In the next update, we are introducing more updates on how footsteps behave within the mix. Okay, you scrubs come back and visit when I go over this again and check out when Florian goes over it. If you're bitching about the audio, perhaps attending the audio class Florian is mentioning here might benefit you more, and perhaps gimme gimme might come out of your mouth less. Footsteps will interact more dynamically with surrounding sounds and feature improved built-in prioritization. Close enemies will be more audible without relying on heavy volume boosts, and distinctions between enemies, friendlies, and your own movement will be clearer. I mean, if you think the audio is bad in Battlefield 6, check out Escape from Tarkov and tell me you still take issues with Battlefield 6's sound. The reliability of obstruction will also be increased, ensuring that sound behaves more consistently when blocked by surfaces, and reduces cases where footstep assets fail to play due to performance constraints. Vehicle audio is also receiving targeted adjustments. Okay, cool. Multiple jets will contribute less to overall noise floor buildup, and enemy ground vehicles will be prioritized more clearly in the mix, particularly in RedSec. Okay, that's interesting. The one area in Battlefield 6 where I've heard about this the least. These changes are intended to improve spatial awareness without overwhelming other critical audio cues. We've also made global mix adjustments to improve clarity and positioning accuracy overall, including updates to stereo and headphone mixes and new width settings in the audio menu that allow for future customization. Default settings are tuned for balance, comfort, and position accuracy, but players who prefer a narrower or wider soundstage will now have more control. Oh boy, I can hear the bitching now. You mean we still gotta adjust things at our end? This game is trash because I shouldn't have to do things. Yeesh. Anywho, so far it sounds like things are cooking and the 5 biggest issues are being addressed. And finally, Florian wraps things up saying, as with all improvements, audio clarity requires continued testing under live conditions. Feedback, oi, Fleshbone44, take note! From the community has been essential in identifying edge cases we could not reproduce internally, including unintended vehicle silence. We will continue refining these systems and keep you updated as further adjustments are validated. See, guys? They be working on shit. And Florian provides his thanks and finishes with, large-scale validation can only truly happen in a live environment, which makes your feedback and the data we gather from real matches incredibly valuable. If you encounter issues enabling the net graph, the net graph. I recall mentioning that a few videos back, and people said I was fucking nuts. In the system settings, and sharing clips that include it help us investigate more effectively. We will continue to speak openly about netcode and combat reliability, answering questions where we can, and keep you informed with a clear and direct approach as this work evolves. Now, I included the bit of the disclaimer in this screenshot because it's all about cover your ass, and they tend to update information as new things come up. Just in case. And that was the whole community update, folks. Florian enters the chat, drops some intel, provides context, explains some things, and advised that not only has updates to the game already dropped, they are working on further updates and such to improve the game. Devs don't do this sort of shit for a dying or abandoned game, kiddos. Especially with a Season 3 right around the corner. Now, even though I have some experience in the gaming industry, I don't have specific EA knowledge. But if you have questions about what Florian says here, drop me a message in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. Now, this was a simple video because it's Friday and y'all are working on your weekend things. So I'll be really brief here. So we're coming up on this channel's 1-year anniversary, March 17th, the same day Phase 2 of Season 2 drops, so I'll be in the game all day. Take a little break late in the afternoon and come back for more game time and shenanigans. We're around 2,930 subs, 70 away from the 3K goal. If you want to squad up, come find me in the game. Further, check out the video description, especially for March's Veteran Support Group Spotlight. The Spotlight details are at the very bottom of the description to better find it. So, go forth, my hood rats. Enjoy your weekend. Kill things in the game. Violate articles of the Geneva Convention when killing those things in the game. And I will see you next time on Monday. Out.